Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Historical Humans Reacts. And today we've got quite the interesting topic that came out. All roads lead back to Rome, but all Roman roads also lead to prosperity, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So, about 2,000 years ago, the Roman Empire underwent, shall we say, expansion. And with that expansion came a need for infrastructure. The Roman Empire wanted to move its troops quickly and efficiently to any point within its territory or any point of significance as quickly as possible. To do this, they established 80,000 kilometers or 49,710 miles of road. Now,
Casual.
yeah, these were meant to be a military supply route and allow any Roman legion or official leaving the capital to arrive at any other point in the empire overland without ever having to leave a well paved road. And the result of this, very interestingly, is that over the last 2,000 years, those roads have not changed. The places they lead to have not changed. In fact, the places that they lead to have actually grown more important and more prosperous simply because a Roman road from thousands of years ago passes through it. And ordinarily, with 2 millennia, you'd kind of expect that, these roads would have fallen out of use with the collapse of the Western Empire, all that other stuff. There'd be, other kingdoms, other empires wanting to make their own routes to different places, or even wanting to go to different places than the Romans did. But no, the prosperity has stayed for 2 millennia on the routes that the Romans laid out, and that is very fascinating. There's a fun little map, kind of showing it. It's a kind of a hard to look at
I have it pulled up on
blue,
screen.
yeah, blue and black one here. The white lights are all the population centers, and those thick blue lines with the white lines running through them are all the roads that the Romans built that are still being used as modern roads. Now, the roads have been, of course, repaved because 2 millennia of use and the invention of cars has changed a lot.
And have made
But
them wider, but you see the same footprint persist
yeah,
throughout this period, and it leads to two main interesting conversations, I think.
yeah,
One, the fact that these roads have persisted through time, but two, just the importance of how Rome set everything up and how they built things out, because they didn't necessarily choose the locations of a lot of these cities. However, they didn't not encourage them to grow. They placed troops there. They would often trade with these population centers, and as time grew on, so did the areas around this.
yeah, yeah. A fun fact too is you look at the map. A lot of times the white blobs, the bigger blobs, are all at nexus points of the roads. Uh, Paris has 5 roads heading out of it. London has, I want to say, that looks like
7 or 8.
7, maybe. No, 8.
Yeah.
There's 8 because that's 2 on the upper left. And some of these, some of these, like London, were Roman inventions. London was built by the Romans
Londinium.
for the purpose of garrisoning retired veterans in London as a pseudo police force uh, to help control the island. I do not believe Paris was a Roman settlement. I could be wrong about that, but you just look here and just the roads became the networks that everyone traded on. And if you lived on the road, you had access to trade, which meant you had access to money, which meant you grew.
And similar to
That,
what we saw in the United States with the railroads.
yeah, it just never stops.
And towns are built along these transportation corridors because it helps with populations, it helps with trade, it helps with everything. So you see a lot of cities built along these corridors, like you mentioned, all the white dots, and at the convergence points because that was the place where a lot of success ended up being. It's very interesting.
Yeah. And I do like what I find very interesting is not just the fact that this has all survived, but just on this map, it's not really talked about in the article, but in the persistence. If you look at where Belgium and the Netherlands are, you see the Low Countries. You can kind of see the borders of the old Roman Empire with some of these roads.
Yeah.
Just look at that bleed effect. Big, big, bright dots all along the edge of the roads, and then it just bleeds upwards before dissipating just a little bit before reconcentrating on the coast. And it's just this massive bleed effect just from being on the border with a Roman road network. Just leads to this massive wall of just settlement, which I find very interesting because in the Roman road network, it's on the nexus points for the most part, but on the border, just look at this beautiful mess of just not former border gore that is now a country. It's very interesting to see like the roads are the reason everything around it is the way it is, and it's just hard to imagine that decision 2,000 years ago is the reason why the population of France is distributed the way it is.
Well, and this article brings it up very briefly, and I think is honestly quite understated. Is you would think that these routes or these roads would have changed over time or would have adapted or have like shifted in some way, shape, or form from their original layout, but they really haven't. And that
Yep.
could either be a testament to the design of the Roman roads and like their efficiency, because we talked very briefly off recording about desire paths, how humans innately want to take the shortest, most efficient pathways. Were these roads designed in Legion with that to help transport armies? Or
Yeah,
was
and this
this more arbitrary than that?
well, the roads were definitely designed to transport armies, and it's just what makes it interesting. Their persistence is just if you think about just taking the example of France, and this is the most prominent thing on the image we have.
Yeah.
Needs of the Roman Empire, the needs of the Gothic kings, the needs of the Franks, the needs of Charlemagne, the needs of the French kingdom, of the French Empire, and of the French republics. As far as transportation goes, were all the same as the needs of the Romans. That's what this map shows, is that all these vastly different cultural and political entities all felt that, yeah, stuff needs to go from this point to this point, and this is the best way to do it. Each and every one of them. That's 2,000 years of history, and it's not monolithic history either.
The
I mean,
craziest thing is how every single one of those roads eventually leads back to Rome.
yep. Yes, it does. It is a beautiful, beautiful network.
But I think
Uh,
that's a good bit of conversation, a little bit of rambling. I think we should potentially wrap it up here, though.
and that is yeah, that's all there really is to say about that. It's just a fascinating concept that we came across here, and we wanted to share it with all of you.
Yeah, and if you guys enjoyed watching this, drop a like down below. Be sure to leave a comment if there's a topic you want us to cover. And hit the subscribe button or the little bell if you want to be notified every time we record. We will have another Reacts come out every Saturday, so be sure to tune into that, and we'll see you guys next week.